welcome. You're watching News 9. I'm Shweta Kothari. We're bringing you stories from the world of business, policy and economy. Joining us this Monday morning is Ambareesh Baliga, who is an independent markets commentator. Also with me in the studio is Kartik Malhotra. Kartik, good morning.
Morning, Shweta.
Bright Monday morning.
Oh, Monday blues, but thankfully the Monday greens for the markets. Nothing to complain about this morning. A very marginally green open for the markets. I think all the headlines that were supposed to come last week are out. We've seen what happened with OCCRP report on Adani, later with Vedanta. We've seen big announcements coming from Reliance Jio. We've seen macroeconomic data coming. So I think everything that the market was expecting and anticipating
is out and about.
Is out and about. So the only big headline event this week is the G20 meet.
Okay.
Now, are the markets going to read anything into it? Is there going to be something substantial that comes out of the G20 meet in Delhi NCR that is going to impact markets? We don't know yet. I think Ambareesh might be able to tell us. But this morning we've seen a nice green open for the markets. Not much. Sensex, Nifty both up about 0.2% in early trade. We've also seen the rally in the mid-cap stocks sustain over time. So we've seen the NSE mid-cap 100 up about 0.5% this morning. And overall, I think it's been a good green start.
A good green start. Ambareesh, good morning. Thanks very much for joining us. How do you explain the green start? I think, as my colleague rightly pointed, all numbers that were supposed to be out are out. What is market anticipating this morning?
No, I think, these numbers have been decently good. I mean, if you look at the GST data, that also has been extremely good. And I think people are clearly looking at the G20 meet where, I think the main topic out there would be sustainability. But more important, I think it will show India as an undisputed leader because all the eyes will be on India and this meet. So I think sentimentally that would be quite positive for us. And overall, I mean, as long as the markets don't really break that 19,200 levels, I think the bulls would still be in command because the number of times we have, gone close to those levels and bounced back decently well. I think in the last couple of weeks, I think it's about 3 or 4 times we have gone to those levels and bounced back. So that's also decently positive.
Hi Ambareesh, good morning. Thanks for being with us here on a Monday morning. Not too many news triggers this morning as we are seeing, but some specific stock action that I wanted to discuss with you. Number one, news coming in on Tata Steel, a £500 million investment likely to go through in the UK. Stocks trading this morning in the green. How does the Tata Steel picture look like to you?
At least in the short to medium term, it looks quite good because this news is there as far as Tata Steel is concerned. But then overall, the steel basket, we are seeing some sort of bounce back in the prices. So because of which, I think we could see the steel as well as metals overall performing decently well, at least in the short to medium term.
Okay, and what is this trend that you're seeing with the, with first the EV plant foray of Tata into the UK, and now you're talking about investments in the steel sector? Overall, the group's ambitions of not just, fostering growth in India, but actually becoming a driver of growth for international markets, including the UK, creating employment, creating jobs and raking in investment, setting up factories. Is there a trend here that we should see when it comes to the Tata Group as a whole?
I think, that clearly shows their confidence as far as the overseas plans are concerned, because I think that was a clear issue for them in the last decade or more. But now the sort of confidence which they are showing, I think that's quite positive for the group overall.
Okay. And talk to us about ITC. ITC also 1,500 crore rupees to be invested. Shweta, interesting news again this morning. That we saw in the wires, in fact, not much in the papers. We saw that 1,500 crore rupees for for ITC to set up its packaged food division factories in 2 more cities. So ITC stock still in the red. What could be the reason for that, Ambareesh?
We are seeing this investment in a new plant after a long time from ITC. Till date, they've been only giving back cash to the shareholders in terms of, high dividend. And that's one of the reasons why I've seen a very good dividend yield for ITC as such. But then I would look at this as a positive because investment in a new plant clearly means that you'll see the revenues still moving up further as far as ITC's FMCG and retail business is concerned. So, I would look at it positively, and any sort of a correction in ITC should be utilized to buy.
Okay, and also news coming this morning about Zerodha. In fact, Nikhil Kamath on record stating that Zerodha is going to invest 150 crore rupees in Nazara Tech. Now, Amrish, the online gaming business, as we've seen, has been fraught with very, very unique challenges where there was a tax confusion leading to tax clarity and apparently not a GST change, but just GST clarification. We are seeing 150 crore rupees being invested by Zerodha, India's largest stock brokerage, into an e-gaming company like Nazara Tech. Is there value still to be derived from online gaming in India? We've seen the number of gamers. We've seen the fact that gaming as overall revenue collection has even surpassed OTT subscription collection. But despite these changes, is there value to be seen in gaming stocks?
No, I mean, clearly, see, this is the business of the future because most of the younger generation, I mean, if you're looking at people up to the age of 35, 40, are, I mean, clearly looking at gaming as the next big thing. And I mean, that clearly shows from the subscription figures which are there. But I think the issue is more on the regulatory angle as to what new surprises could come from the government as far as the regulatory side is concerned. I think that's the only concern. Otherwise, I don't think one should be bothered about the growth as far as this sector is concerned. And clearly, this investment from Zerodha, I mean, clearly shows the confidence in this space.
But with revenues also adding up, Amrish, there is going to likely be pressure on profitability, especially profit after tax when you account for GST changes, etc. So, do you see profitability despite revenue growth in online gaming by account of more users coming in? Do you see profitability to be a concern for gaming companies?
No, that would be a concern, no doubt. I mean, that's the reason I said I really don't know as to what sort of further regulatory action could be there as far as this space is concerned, because this could be the cash cow for the I mean for the government. I mean, going ahead. I mean, earlier we have seen that the cash cows were cigarettes and liquor, and I think this could be the new cash cow as far as the I mean government treasury is concerned. So I would be I mean surely a bit bothered I mean about this part of it, although. I mean, when you're talking of revenues and the sort of a growth, I think there's no question about it. But when it comes to profitability, there could be a bit of a bother.
All right. Another story that's going to be in focus is that of Kotak Mahindra. The Kotak Mahindra Bank chairman, Uday Kotak, seemed to have resigned. He says there is a succession plan now in order. He seems to be following, I think, a trajectory for all old guard, which is now being replaced by a new guard, as some would like to say. And that stock, of course, up this morning. Amrish, what's your view on the Kotak Mahindra Bank and its future prospect under new leadership?
I was a bit surprised when I saw the stock moving up today, despite Uday Kotak stepping down nearly 4 months in advance. He was supposed to step down by 31st December. And, and clearly, I mean, as of now, I don't see a very clear succession plan as such. I mean, although internally, I mean, they have two internal candidates for the post. But then when you look at RBI, they've clearly been mentioning that it should be an outside candidate. So we really don't know as to what is going to work out because I mean, unless there's a very I mean a clearance from RBI, you don't know as to who the successor would be. At the same time, if it's going to be internal candidate, we should remember that most of these people have been there with the bank for the last 2 to 3 decades, which is quite positive, no doubt. But then most of them are close to the retirement age. I think that should be the other bother because again, when you look at a leader taking up, you at least expect, I mean, the leader to be there minimum of 5 to over 10 years, which
Amish,
may not be the case, which may not be the case as far as I mean, the candidates we are talking about.
Amrish, talk to us about the disruptions you see in the BFSI space, and I'm talking about banking as well as non-banking, both combined here. We've seen the merger of HDFC and HDFC Bank. We've seen a change of guard now at Kotak Mahindra Bank. We are looking at a new entrant in the NBFC space called Geo Finance. How do you see the whole BFSI space panning out in India?
I think there'll be much more disruption in the NBFC space as compared to the banking space because in the banking space, we have already seen a decent amount of consolidation. So I don't see much of a change as far as the banking space is concerned. But when you talk of the NBFC space, I think there'll be a major disruption, especially from Geo. I mean, the new kid on the block. Basically, because I mean, like the group has deep pockets, and I think the most important other thing is the data and the reach which the Reliance Group has, both via the telecom as well as the retail. So I think, I mean, they would come up with, I mean, products which can disrupt the markets, and exactly what we have seen Bajaj Finance doing in the last about a decade. I think we'll see happening from Geo Finance much faster. Maybe in the next 4 5 years, you could see them as a major disruptor. And I think, I mean, the main sufferer here could be Bajaj Finance, which has been enjoying that huge premium because of what they did in the last 10 years. But then I think that's one stock to be looked for as to how that reacts. But as far as Geo Finance is concerned, I would be quite positive.
Okay. And days after news of, and in fact on 1st of September, and we covered that story, Geofinance is no more a part of Sensex, but it's still a part of Nifty. Will that exclusion happen very soon? What's happening at Geofinance?
I'm not sure if it is going to continue to be part of Nifty as well after the demerger. I think Amrish might be able to tell us better. But Amrish, as I'm seeing it, you mentioned Bajaj Finance being a pure NBFC player. But here we are talking about Geofin, which is going to be an NBFC, which is going to be an AMC, which is going to be an insurance provider. So, I think the whole basket of offerings is much larger in the case of Geofin. And of course, news coming in this morning also suggesting that now the circuit levels have been revised. So until Geofin was in the trade-to-trade segment, it had the 5% circuit,
now
which we saw 20%. It breach almost every single day of trade last week. But now the circuit has been revised to 20%. So should we still expect volatility? And then, of course, I mean, how do you classify, a stock or a company like Geofin right now, given the diverse interests it has?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, this will be a disruptor, and I took the name of Bajaj Finance because of the market cap which it has, and the premium which it has over the rest of the players in the BFSI space. So, I mean, that could be the one which could get affected the most, and I mean, that's why I took that name. I mean, if you're talking of, I mean, geofinance again, possibly coming back into the indices, I think that's a given thing. Possibly over the next 6 to 9 months, I think we should see that coming back because you really can't ignore a stock which is at about 1.5 lakh crores of market cap, and surely it will move up more from here because out of the Nifty, nearly about 15 stocks are below 1 lakh crores. So, I mean, a stock like this cannot be ignored as far as the indices are concerned.
And is it likely to keep its position in Nifty 50 as Shweta just asked, or should we see perhaps some revision there as well? Is it not going to be part of the top 50, top 30 because it's already not part of the Sensex? But that's not purely with valuation, as I understand. That is also a function of arriving at other data which could take some time, including revenues that the company is likely to shore up. So which index do you see Geofin really being placed in?
No, see, I mean, Nifty sooner or later, I think it should be out. But then, if we're talking about slightly longer term, I think it should be back in both the indices because you cannot, I mean, afford to ignore a company as large as this. So once the data starts coming in, and once it gets into F&O, then possibly you'll have it coming back into the indices.
Just to clarify, Ambrish, is it still a part of Nifty index?
I think so. I'm not too sure, but if it is still a part of Nifty index, it may not be there for too long, because I mean this was done as a transition. I mean when it was demerged, it had to be there in the indices because Reliance Industries was there in the indices. But then first they said 3 days, and then it was extended. So I think it should be out sooner than later.